Last time on Turkey Sphere X, Turkey Tom was making a video about anime when a weeaboo approached him and declared a battle because he loves anime and Turkey Tom does not. Can Turkey Tom beat his most powerful adversary yet, or will he fall to the forces of evil and, gay? The forces of evil and gay.
Aha, Turkey Tom. You can never defeat me, for I am an all-powerful anime Desu Weeb Man Strong Force Super Saiyan.
Oh yeah? Well, let's stop talking and fight.
Ha!
Yes, I have finally defeated you. All of your retarded comments on my cartoon community video shall be no more. Oh, Turkey Tom, but you underestimate me.
This isn't even my final form! Now you will finally admit that anime is amazing and cool.
No. Anime still sucks. In fact, now I absolutely despise it. Anime is a form of animation originating in Japan, which over the past 25 years has become rather popular in the West, as well as its place of origin, to the point where American animation studios have tried to imitate their general style, some with great success and others with crippling failure. And, contrary to popular belief, judging from this comment section, I do not actually hate anime, or really dislike it in general. I have a pretty avid interest in animation, and anybody who thinks that I actually hate anime is either a moron or they are severely misinterpreting my jokes. Most likely the second one. Me liking Western animation and completely hating anime would be a ridiculous notion, but that doesn't mean that I love Japanese animation. There are a lot of issues I have noticed that overall just hinder my experience while watching it. Various barriers that prevent me from truly enjoying it to the full potential that its creators intended me to. There are some anime that I've watched and at least somewhat enjoyed, but for most of those that I've seen, I can barely get through an episode or two due to these problems. The first issue I have with anime is the rather lazy animation tricks that lots of these shows and movies employ to save time and money. Some examples I've noticed are having some pictures with just a few pans and zooms when a character is supposed to be in action to imply movement, when you're really just moving a still shot to make it seem like something exciting is happening. Oftentimes this also happens when characters are in a large crowd, when it would take lots of time to animate everything moving in the shot, so they just play some audio of a crowd talking with a pan across all of the people. Things like having just a few frames move when the character is talking, so it looks like their jaw is just opening and closing with no real animation, and doing that little shimmer in the eye so people don't forget it's supposed to be animated. Having the mouth move in a loop during a shot and not even bothering to sync up the audio so the shot looks lazily done and makes it really hard to focus on the actual subject of what they're talking about because of how glaringly obvious it is that the mouth has no relation to what they're saying. And while this doesn't really fall into the category of the animation itself, the shots where the characters are constantly gasping at each other with reaction shots, grunting and moaning with these really odd shots that should be reserved for other types of media. And while I can honestly understand why they do this, it overall just takes me out of the experience. Animation is very hard to do. I would know because I've done it numerous times on this channel, even if my animation admittedly isn't very good. It's very time consuming, taking hours upon hours to do right. It's hard because of the skill required to draw that many frames, and really just drawing talent to create a pleasing picture, and overall it's just a pain in the ass to do. As a result, I obviously have a huge amount of respect for all of the storyboard artists and animators involved. Props to you guys for even attempting animation, but to me that doesn't really give me a satisfying excuse for this lazy animation. Sure, it would take much longer, but the main thing that prevents me from watching Dragon Ball Z is these lazy animation tricks, which makes me feel like I'm watching a PowerPoint presentation with an audio track lazily slapped on just to do the bare minimum. It should be noted, however, that most shows which partake in these techniques only use them during slow moments in the show, when characters are talking, but they reserve the gorgeous animation for shots where characters are fighting and lots of intense action is happening, which, while understandable from my point of view, doesn't really cut it for my own viewing experience. Another issue I have with anime are the various tropes involved, mainly with the plot and story aspects. This doesn't bother me as much as it bothers some other people. In fact, it's one of my more minor gripes with it, but one thing I have noticed while watching various anime in my time is that there are various character archetypes, essentially molds that each of these characters fit into, with little variation other than a yellow hat or a stupid looking headband. For example, the main character of the show is usually a hot-headed boy who doesn't really know his full potential and and is ready to fight for the good of justice and his people or something like that. There's always a quiet, reserved character who nobody really knows much about, but is actually more powerful than the rest of the characters around, and when it's time to fight, they show their true strength. Then there's the extra third wheel character. Most likely they're not as good or skilled at fighting as the main character is, but we come to enjoy seeing them around because of how charming or goofy their antics are. Oh, and we can't forget the archetype of the annoying girl, whose only purpose is to scream and support the main character, not having a real important role themselves. I could go on and on about these character molds that apply to pretty much every popular anime, which really hinders my overall enjoyment. I would like to watch each show and admire how unique and weird each one is, but when the cast of characters feels like a copy and paste with a color swap and a few added accessories, I really just can't completely enjoy it. Moving on from character types, I usually have an issue with the plot as well. While some shows have a pretty interesting plot which I can enjoy, in fact many of them do, a lot of them are also very mundane, generally set in high school and about annoying teenagers and little girls who constantly scream and have over-the-top, unrealistic reactions to everything. Many of these shows also have filler episodes, and time filled with people constantly screaming, having flashbacks, and going on unnecessary side quests right before a big event is about to happen, which annoys the hell out of me and many other viewers. I can already hear some of you typing away at your keyboard saying,
"Hey, well, Western animation has tropes too. You're just a hater."
You are absolutely right. Western animation does have a lot of tropes. I'd argue sometimes even more than anime. But to me, that doesn't really give an excuse for lazy copy and paste shows which are boring and frankly just obnoxious to watch. So in conclusion, I don't hate anime, obviously. I have a huge amount of respect for many of the artists involved due to how time-consuming and hard these shows and movies are to make. But for me, that doesn't really fix many of the issues. And honestly, I don't know if I will ever be able to fully enjoy most anime. However, from what I've seen of Death Note and Attack on Titan, I have actually really enjoyed, especially due to some of the great art in these shows. Almost every shot, every little piece of animation could be framed and put on a wall. I also enjoyed Ghost in the Shell, not the stupid American movie, but the original one. It was fantastic. Maybe sometime in the future I will enjoy more anime than that, but for now there are really only a few select shows that I found have been good enough for me personally to enjoy and watch consistently. But enough of my opinion, what do you think? Do you like this video? Hate it? What's your favorite or least favorite anime? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. I read all the comments and I honestly would love to hear your opinion on this. Turkey Tom, out.